Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be doing another haul, so another cheap art supplies haul, and this one is based on requests from some of you guys on what you would like to see in my cheap haul videos. So today I am going to be showing you what I bought from The Works, and I'm going to then try out those products and then create a final piece with them. If you're unsure about what The Works actually is, it's a shop in the UK that sells cheap art supplies, crafting stuff and also books. If you are new to my channel, my name is Gemma. I create weekly art content. This week I'll be aiming to upload a little bit more frequently, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my Halloween themed videos this week. So let's get into the actual products that I bought. Now I aimed to spend the same amount of money that I did in my last haul video, so if you haven't seen that one I will leave a link to that video in the description box. So I spent £15 in The Works and I decided to try out two of their sort of art ranges. Now they have like a really basic art supply range and then they have their premium range. So I bought two of each product from each range and we'll give them a test and see what they're all like. So first up is from their Crawford and Black range, which is their more economical product range, and it comes in this sort of red packaging, and this was only £3. So it's a drawing set that I purchased from The Works, and it has got charcoal pencils, a regular HB pencil, it's got a couple of blending stumps or tortillons, however they look like they're more of the condensed paper tortillons rather than like the wrapped tortillons. It looks like we've got a sanding pad for the tortillons, an eraser, pencil sharpener, and then some compressed charcoal and pastels. This was £3 and I feel like you get quite a lot for your money in this pack. If you know me, you'll know that I don't really like using charcoal all that much, so I thought this would be a good way to test out some charcoal pencils to see how I get on with those, because I don't really want to spend too much money on additional charcoal when I know it's not something that I really like the feeling of working with all that much. I'll give these a go in a little bit. Next up from that same range, the Crawford and Black, is their set of 12 gouache paints. Now this set was only £3, which I think is an absolute bargain for 12 different paints, and they are 12mm paint tubes. So I've never actually used gouache paint before, so this one will be a good try for me to use. I'm quite excited to give these a go because I've never used these paints before, so it will be quite fun to try out. So those two products that I bought from their cheaper range cost me a total of £6, which I think when you're starting out and wanting to try different art materials, then you know The Works is pretty decent for trying them out when you don't want to spend too much money finding out which art supplies and products you actually like using. Okay, so like I said, The Works actually have two different types of ranges for their art supplies. They have the Crawford and Black, which is their cheaper range, and then they have a slightly more premium range, which is the Bold Mere Premium. Now the packaging on this one looks slightly more expensive. It's got a richer palette in tones, which I feel makes the products look more expensive than the Crawford and Black. However, they're not really that much more expensive to purchase than the Crawford and Black products. I purchased a set of paintbrushes to try out to see what their paintbrushes are like. So these are the paintbrushes. They come in just this plastic packaging, so they don't come in anything that would be a little bit more permanent to store your paintbrushes in, but that's fine because I usually store mine in just a jar or a little pot or something upright. Not having something to store my paintbrushes in didn't really bother me. This paintbrush set is a set of 9 and there's lots of different paintbrushes within this set. I feel like it's a pretty good price point. Again, if you're just starting out and wanting to try different paintbrushes, this set cost £3, which I think is a real bargain for 9 paintbrushes. Now I believe that they are all synthetic, which I prefer because I prefer smoother paint application and I'm not too fussed on having hog hair or horsehair paintbrushes, and I think it's a really good paintbrush to go for if you are a beginner. So £3 for the paintbrush set. And then the last product that I purchased is again from that Bold Mere Premium brand, and it is a set of 12 acrylic paints, again in that sort of purple and that navy blue with some gold on there. It does make the packaging and the product seem more premium. This cost me £6 for these 12 acrylic paints. The tubes are a lot bigger in this set, so rather than being 12mm like those Gouache paints, these ones are 20mm each. So in terms of value for money, these ones might even be better because they might be a better formula than those Crawford and Black, and then you also get a bigger paint tube. So we'll see how these ones fare and see how they compare to some of my other acrylic paints that I have used before. So it's going to be interesting to see what these ones are actually like. So I'm going to swatch all of my materials from today, and I will use those paintbrushes that I purchased from the works, and I will let you know my verdict on each of the products, and then I will test some of them out on a final piece. So make sure you keep watching and we will get right into it. So I'm going to choose a rounded brush for now because I quite like working with a rounded brush, and then I might also try one of these flat brushes as well. So the good thing about these paints is that they actually do not need piercing. I've got all of those ready to swatch on my paper, so I'm going to get started, and I'm going to use this round brush. Paints are going down quite nicely. See how that compares. Again, not too bad considering that these are a really cheap brand of acrylic paints. They're not doing too bad of a job. I've got good coverage and they feel quite nice to work with. So side by side, those two browns look almost identical. There's not much between the two of them. On the browns, the premium acrylic paints, the Boldmere paints, just they don't cut it. I'm going to actually save those for another painting that I have got planned for this week. So make sure you subscribe so you actually see what I'm going to be doing with that painting later in the week. I'm really excited about it. Next up, I'm going to try out those Gouache paints. Premium brand wins on that round for getting the paints out onto the palette. Consistency of paint on that yellow is actually quite solid. It goes down quite nicely. Now I can see already that the orange is a lot lighter on the tube, and that one's a deep orange colour. That seems to be the case with a lot of these Gouache paints, is that the paint comes out a lot darker than the actual packaging. Yeah, we didn't have a violet, so we had two greens instead of a violet, so this time on our Gouache we've only got one green. So we've got one violet and one green, and that's a really solid black, which is nice. If you look at that acrylic, that would need building up again to make that a more solid colour. Now I'm going to test out the Crawford and Black drawing and sketching set. Now, my only criticism with this so far is that the pencils have not come pre-sharpened. So I've sharpened this so many times already, and every single time it just breaks. So maybe don't purchase this set. Okay, so I'm going to test out these three pencils. So the soft, the medium, and the hard pencil. First kind of impressions of these pencils is not that great. Okay, so there's our softs that blended out really quite nicely with this tortillum. Then I'm going to test out these compressed charcoals and the compressed pastels. Okay, that's really nice and dark. I'm going to blend that out as well. Now that I have tested out all of the products, I'm going to concentrate on a Gouache painting, and I'm going to be painting two pumpkins that are in the top corner of my screen. I went pumpkin picking the other day and I picked up these two pumpkins there, so I'm really excited to paint these. going to give you my verdict on what I thought of all of those products from the works, but before I do that, make sure you leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know where you would like me to try products from next. So any cheap art supply that you would like to see me try out and review, let me know in the comments. So let me give you my thoughts on the products themselves. To start with, let's talk about those charcoal pencils. Now, I was not a fan of those charcoal pencils. I didn't think that they worked all that well. They didn't sharpen that great. I wouldn't recommend buying those. I would possibly save up a little bit more money and get a better product, because there are lots of other charcoal pencils out there that you could potentially try that are a student grade charcoal pencil. So I would purchase those instead of the ones from the works. The rest of that little set, I mean, I didn't mind the blending stumps or the tortillions. I thought they were pretty good. It's worth having those in your drawing set if that's something you want to get into, because they help you blend out your pencil work really nicely and you can get some really good results. Now, I was a fan of the paintbrushes. They all worked really nicely and I liked those flat paintbrushes, especially for going around the edges of my painting and just getting in the block work of my gouache painting. So I really did like those, and I thought that for the price point they were really good. You get a really good variety of paintbrushes so that you can find a paintbrush that you personally like to use. They are also synthetic, which is a really good paintbrush to start with because you get a really nice smooth finish. The acrylic paints, they swatched really nicely. However, I haven't used those in a full painting yet. I will be doing a painting with those later on in the week, so make sure you subscribe to see how that one goes and how I get on with those acrylic paints. I will give you more of a detailed review within that video. But on the offset, I think that they worked pretty well. I think the browns were a little bit troublesome from my swatches, so it'll be interesting to see how the rest of those paints go in my painting that I have planned, and I'm really looking forward to that one, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my full acrylic painting. And then lastly, the gouache paints. I created that sort of Halloween themed pumpkin painting, and it was the first time of using gouache paint and I really enjoyed it. The paint went on really nice and smoothly. I could thin it down with my water without it going too translucent, and I think that it layered really well. My paper could take it. It didn't buckle with that paint, which I was a bit worried that it would act a little bit more like a watercolour. However, it actually held really quite well. So I think for a really cheap product from the works, those gouache paints are definitely worth purchasing and trying out if you're wanting to try a new art material. If you have enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and also leave a comment to let me know where you would like to see those art supplies from next, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those videos that I've got coming up during the week. I will see you later in the week, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.